If you're new here, my name is Jason. This is the Outstanding Life Show. We talk about mindfulness, we talk about recovery, we talk about addiction, and we talk about mental health. More importantly, we have some pretty exciting news coming up. And before I jump into it, I just want to say thank you for stopping by. It really means a lot to me. I get the most heartfelt messages from you, my community, and that really is what drives the show. It's what helps push this forward. When there's things I wasn't sure about, or if this is something I should be talking about, or if this is something that's a little bit too much. That was always my fear at the beginning. If this was something I should be sharing, or if this is something I shouldn't be. But in the meantime, this reminds me I should be sharing this. Okay, I'm just going to post this to my wall. Rockstar. Okay, we are up and running. We are good to go. But exciting news. Let's jump into it. Let me tell you what I've been working on. And this has been something I've been putting in passively in my workflow. But now I'm at a spot where I can share it. And all this hard work has really paid off. And now you, my audience, are the first people to hear about this, to see this. So, without further ado, I want to go and jump into what I've been working on. Okay, I'm going to show you my screen. Let's take off the overlay. I'm going to show you my screen. And I don't know if you pay attention to the blog or if you are reading my blog. I do have show notes that I have set up. And then if you know below, type notes, or you can go to the address, outstanding.video/notes. And then we have the notes sent out to you. That's if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, then you have to click on the link or go to the address below. But if you go and check out something a little cooler than this, hold on. If you actually go to the blog, and this is the blog here that I'm showing you, if you go check out the blog, it goes, oh, no, it's gone to the other screen. Let's go back. Let's go back. Okay, so now if we go check this out, if you go to the blog, here I have, oh no, that's the thing. If you go check out the blog, How I Became an Addict, and this is my WordPress blog, but I've got something set up, not just the show notes, because I can have the show notes sent out to you. That's the easy part. There's a picture of me right there. But if you go look at it, we have, there's me. But now, here we go. Check this out. Look at this. This is the Outstanding Life, but this is the podcast. This is, in my workflow, I've been stripping the audio for as I go through and do all this. So I've been pulling the audio, and now I've been saving the audio, and now I've been able to go and implement, with some help. I've been able to go and get it set up so that we now have, hey kitty, how's it going? You want to come on camera? Here. You want to come on camera? Say hi, everyone. So I've been able to go and get the podcast player installed on the webpage. And what I've been able to do now is I can feed the audio to iTunes as an example, and then I can link iTunes to the webpage, so then you can go and subscribe to the podcast to listen to it. Or if you just go to the webpage, you can just click play, and it plays it right here. Like, it'll literally play right from the page. And you can listen to me read it to you, or if you're a reader and you want to read it, you can read. And I've also got it available, and if you scroll down, there's the video. So there's the video of me talking, but if you didn't want to watch, you could read, and if you didn't want to read, well, then you could just listen. And it's the same conversation, it's just available in different areas. It was really it was way more than I thought to be able to set this up. Like I thought I could just like flip a switch and this would be up and running. No, there's like a whole approval process I had to go to, and then there's like not HTML, but something called JSON, and that was something I wasn't used to, and I'm still trying to figure out, because there's another one that I want to work on, something else I want to try, and this is it is the smart assistants. Have you heard of those? Like Alexa and Google, they go and they have their own skills. And so with Google, there's like a whole more approval process I have to go through and have to submit code. I can still feed my iTunes code to it, but I gotta do more to it. Now, Alexa, on the other hand, it does seamlessly work and integrate, but there's still a lot of work on the back end that I gotta figure out. But we are so close to loading up an Alexa skill or a Google Assistant. So we'll be able to go and have those up and running pretty soon. But in the meantime, we've got the podcast running, and I've got a month's worth of show notes, and I've got a month's worth of audio, because we're finishing up the month, and I've been capturing the audio as I've been going. So I'm backloading all of my audio through iTunes. Right now, if you go and you look at the player, it looks like we only have 4 episodes, but I do have way more than 4. I've got like 30. Today will mark 30. So after today, I'm going to load up the audio. But it takes time, I figured out. So even though I might load in or upload an episode, it doesn't get uploaded right away. Like there's a whole 24 hours or the next day that it actually shows up. So while I've got it set up, I'm queuing it, it's not going to show up for like a day. So I have to build into my workflow getting all this set up. So I'm super passionate and I'm really excited about this. I'm such a huge dork when it comes to this kind of thing, but I'm really pumped at being able to have all of this available to you, my audience, where if you wanted to listen, it's available for you to listen. If you wanted to watch, you can watch. I've got it watching on YouTube or on Facebook. I've got it on blog in case you want to read, if you're one of them readers. But I wanted to share this with you, my live audience, because I go live on Facebook, and I think that's what I'm going to be gearing towards. Is I'm going to have all of the post-recorded content available everywhere, but it's the live interactions are only going to be happening on Facebook. So for the people that want to have the engaging part, they have that not one-on-one, I guess, to have that ability to engage with me directly. We can do this on live. I do have people that reach out to me on Twitter and Instagram, but those are only the post-recorded, and those are only snippets. Those are only like 1-minute videos, and those 1-minute videos are spanning quite a bit. But anyway, that's my news, that my celebration message, and that's what I was hoping for. Kitty, what are you doing? You're cute. Okay, so that's my message. We've got the iTunes set up. Now let's jump into the show. Let's actually dive into the content. Okay, so today's teaser message was about me becoming an addict. Now, I'm not sure if this is what can relate to you, but if this is something that speaks to you, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. So if you're new here, again, my name is Jason. This is the Outstanding Life Show. We talk about recovery. We talk about mindfulness, addiction. We talk about mental health. It's really important that we get this conversation out there. This show is not meant to be something that convinces you to do anything or to have you not do anything. It's mainly meant to be something for a tool for somebody that's already made the decision that this is something they want. You want this outstanding life. And if you do, well, there's these healthy conversations that are out there. My hope is that by introducing more healthy conversations, that it will help normalize it to the point that people want to go and share, people want to go and talk. talk more about this. Okay, there we go. All right, so my teaser headline to draw people in was how I became an addict. And when I talk about how I became an addict, I wanted to go and draw attention in, yes, but I also wanted to go and call out that nobody ever wanders around on Mount Everest and suddenly wakes up and then boom, they're at the top of Mount Everest. Like, you don't accidentally get to the top. But similarly, I don't go and accidentally get to the bottom. I don't suddenly go 0 to 60 or 60 to 0. I mean, you could if you're in a car kind of thing, but when it comes to life and living life on life's terms, I don't overnight wake up and become an addict. And it came from, and I have this in the show notes where it says, it was from small, tiny decisions. It was from adding things up over time, or in my case, it was rounding down with tiny little curves. If I had reduced my life, if I imagine my life being, one of those choose your own adventures, those books as a kid, and then if you make a decision, if Mario goes and opens the third door instead of the fourth door, he'll get 200 coins, but if he goes to the wrong door, he loses 200 coins. Well, if I reduce my life down to the simplicity side, and if one bad decision lowers my, pulls me down by 1%, and if one bad decision pulls me down by 1%, and over the course of 100 decisions, eventually I'm going to hit rock bottom. That's going to be my low point. It's only going to take so many bad decisions until I've rounded my life down where, if I have a whole amazing, wonderful, substance-filled life and I start removing pieces of it and I become the shallow, hollow person, after a while, I'm only going to be left with this husk of a person. And it's not really going to be anything that's amazing that I'm going to be proud of. And it wasn't until I woke up and I felt like, when you have dry toast and you're trying to spread butter across the toast, but you don't have enough butter, and you're just scraping the toast across, and you're just scraping the knife across the toast, and there's no butter there. I'm pulling myself, I'm stretching myself thinner, and it had nothing to do with my friends or my family. It had everything to do with how I was choosing to live my life. And it was by ignoring my friends 100,000 times. It was about not showing up to family events for holidays, Christmases, New Year. I would avoid my family if I was making bad decisions, and I would avoid my friends if I was in isolation and I was trying to find a way to not because I knew if I was going to be with my family and my friends, they would hold me accountable, and I knew that they would call me out, so I would just deliberately avoid them. And by removing myself from my friends and my family, I wouldn't have to worry about interacting with them or being responsible or being called out in my lack of responsibility or my lack of looking out for myself. And that's how I became an addict. It was slowly over time. It wasn't something that I just suddenly woke up and I was on the top of Mount Everest, or I suddenly woke up and I was at my rock bottom. It was these tiny decisions that added it up, and it consumed me. It took me to the point where I was hungover all the time. It was in the show notes, I have an example where I say, the frog that's in the boiling water doesn't know it's boiling. It's just slowly growing over time. That this is always the way it's always been. This is, I assume that this is my normal life because I've treated it this way in my daily decision making. And if I'm reducing my life down to kind of the deal, no deal, am I sober now, or am I just waiting to get drunk? And if I'm just making decisions based on that real raw aspect of life, I'm not really living. I'm just barely getting by. earlier in my previous video, I mentioned is just white knuckling my way through, and that's all it is white knuckling. That's not experiencing life to its fullest. That's not living an outstanding life. All that is just holding on until the next time. And the body can only take so much. Like I'm not 19 anymore. That example I gave about dry bread and scraping things across, like my skin isn't as elastic, and it's a little harder now to wake up after, even if I'm out going for a night of sushi, I can stay out, but then I'm pretty tired the next day. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be tired tomorrow, but it was for a good cause. I've been working on this podcast thing for a while, but I did want to share that with you. So when it comes to addiction, I don't wake up overnight and I'm an addict. And then when it comes to sobriety, similarly, I can't just wake up and be sober and undo everything. There was a lot of things that I wasn't proud of that I've done, and I can't change that. What I can do is I can own up to my life, and I can be proud of who I am, and I can move forward. I can walk in the direction of progress. And this is where those 12 steps come in. And that's where that we talked about in the past. We talked about having a support group. And that's where you as my community is an amazing support group. That accountability, showing up every day is important to me on this show to share with you. And I make it an everyday event. It's part of my recovery. It's part of my sobriety. Not only just sharing that, yes, I'm still here, but it's about there's a healthy message out there, and it includes mental health. It includes being amazing. It includes having an outstanding life. But it doesn't mean I need to hide. It doesn't mean I need to not share. It doesn't mean, and these were all things that I had done before, like hid myself from the world, put myself in a shell, didn't bother reaching out for help, and I just let things build up. I don't know if you can relate to this or not. If you can, let me know. If it doesn't, let me know what your thoughts are on that. But it doesn't need to be, I don't know if you can relate to waking up and being hungover all the time and avoiding your friends and family. But these were all equations that when you add them up, I was bound to hit that rock bottom. And that's how I became an addict, was slowly over time, is by adding up these tiny 1% decisions where I'm lowering my life further and further and further until the point I couldn't go any further. Like when you hit the ceiling, it's amazing, you're all excited. But when you hit the bottom and then you start finding new bottoms and you start sinking lower, life seems impossible. And I began to wonder, like, how was I even going to be able to keep going? How can I keep doing this? They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and hoping to get a new result. Well, that's got nothing to do with the events themselves. It's the treating it the same in my brain and rolling the dice on the same handful of events, hoping that something's going to change, but I'm not putting anything different into the situation. I'm just showing up every day, expecting things to change when I myself am not committed to changing. That's how I became an addict, and assuming that things were never going to change, and I wasn't willing to change, and all I wanted to do was to just get by. And that was some of the darkest parts of my life, that window of time. But it doesn't, I can't avoid these things from happening, but what I can do is prepare myself. I can equip myself with these tools, these skill sets. I can equip myself to have these conversations and to identify patterns. And we talk about patterns in other episodes, but when it comes to a pattern identifying, relapse prevention, and foresight in mapping my emotions, these were all things that I was foreign to before joining recovery, before the 12 steps, before finding a program and a supportive community. And these were all things that don't happen overnight. It comes from sobriety, comes from a commitment to daily daily showing up, daily going and asking myself, what am I grateful in today? What am I able to celebrate today that I wasn't able to celebrate yesterday? For me, I woke up yesterday sober and I went to bed yesterday sober. And in the beginning, that's all I focus on is the next 6 inches in front of my face. I don't want to focusing on like 40 years of sobriety. I'm not even 40 years old. I can't focus on that. But what I can focus on when things are crazy and things get crazy, things still get crazy. I can't change that. But what I can change is how I approach the situation, how I show up, and what I can do about it. I can focus on what I have control over, and thankfully the thing I do have available to me is time. That's the one thing I have. But it doesn't mean I take it for granted. Again, I shared before that recovery isn't something that someday I'm going to do. It's something that every day I'm doing. So, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for stopping by. And thanks for being a part of this. Being sober has been a huge pride in my life. And I focus on it every day. And I want to show you something that I've been... With season 2 of this show, I've decided we're going to do something different. We're also going to do something where we're going to have a gratitude of the day, but we're also going to have an action of the day. So when it comes to the gratitude of the day, today I'm going to celebrate what I have influence over. And what I will put my attention on is the 6 inches in front of my face instead of stressing about being overwhelmed. Now, I don't know about you, if being overwhelmed is something that happens regularly, for me, that's something that I'm the worst at. I can go 0 to overwhelmed in 2.2 seconds. But the trick I found is because what would make me focus on wanting to get everything done is I wanted it to be perfect. Because I want to be perfect. And as soon as I remove that, my friend Norm would tell me, he would say, Jason, once you've removed time from the equation, anything is possible. And so I don't have to be perfect. I just have to keep going. And as long as I focus on the next 6 inches in front of my face, I can do that. I can keep going if I just put one foot in front of the other, if I take it one step at a time. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of my 6 steps in front of my face. It's really important to me that I do this, and I want to celebrate that you're here because you mean to me, you mean a lot to me as my audience. All right. So we also have an action of the day, and before we finish up, so today's action, I'll just bring up the notes again. So for today's action, we have, in the 10 seconds before I fall asleep tonight, I will be filled with gratitude that just for today, I woke up sober, and again tonight, I will be going to bed sober. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you, Kitty, for taking a nap on the stream. In the meantime, you take care, and I look forward to seeing you in another episode. Let me know what your thoughts are, if this connects with you, if you think of a topic and you want me to share about it. We're wrapping up season 1. We're going to be focusing on step 2, or we're finishing up step 1. We're going to be focusing on step 2 as we jump into February. I can't believe we're into February already. In the meantime, take care, and I'll see you in another show. All right? Take care. Bye-bye.